welcome to another edition of ONTV News. I'm Sheryl Coonan.
And I'm Megan Peters. A dozen communities in Oakland County have joined together to form the North Oakland Household Hazardous Waste Consortium, or NOHAZ, to provide residents with a safe, reliable, and environmentally responsible way to dispose of household hazardous waste. Recently, Orion Township hosted one of several events that take place throughout the year. On Saturday, September 20th, Friendship Park was the site of the most recent NOHAZ event. Beginning at 8 a.m., hundreds of cars entered the park from Clarkson Road and patiently waited in line to dispose of chemicals, cleaners, paint, aerosols, and even expired medication. Employees of ERG Environmental and additional volunteers were on hand to unload cars and sort the material.
By collecting them here, they don't end up in the landfill, like putting them out to the trash. You know, if they end up in the trash in front of your house, they just go direct into the landfill. Coming to these events allows the material to be processed and treated as it were to be an industrial hazardous waste. That way it's not going directly into a landfill like it normally would. So,
Hendrick told us that ERG Environmental organizes these types of events almost every weekend throughout Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky. In addition to household hazardous waste, visitors are also encouraged to dispose of unwanted electronics.
All the electronics are recycled, which means they're broke down the component part. We don't resell anything. We're not in the business of doing that. We break them down, the recyclable component parts, and then they go out to market. So they're scrapped and turned into whatever. Same thing with the paints. The latex paint is recaptured, and it goes to a facility that we partner with that actually blends latex paints into a usable product used in Habitat for Humanity, graffiti cover-ups for large urban areas, and sometimes they even use it overseas for third world countries that don't have the means to get paint. It's all donated to things like that, and all the chemicals are obviously treated. Flammable liquids and things of that nature, when they go for disposal, they're blended to a mixture that is burnable, right? And it's part of the treatment, if you will. So yeah, repurposed as fuel.
It's estimated that 1,000 cars passed through Friendship Park on Saturday. If you missed the event, visit nohaz.com to find out when the next collection event is scheduled to take place.
The Lake Orion community is fired up for the big homecoming game between the LOHS Dragons and the West Bloomfield Lakers on Friday, September 26th. A week of planned homecoming events kicked off on Sunday, September 21st with the homecoming parade in the village. Despite threatening skies, Lake Orion residents lined the streets of the downtown area on Sunday afternoon for the Lake Orion High School homecoming parade, which began at Blanche Sims Elementary School and ended at the Eamon Center. Lake Orion Police Chief Jerry Narsh led the parade in the department's 1941 Ford police car. Representatives of the school district's 7 elementary schools and 3 middle schools joined high school students as they marched down Flint Street, turning right on Broadway. Last year's homecoming queen Brianna Anderson returned to lead the 2014 homecoming court. As announcer Lori Hogan introduced this year's court to the crowd, the skies opened up, soaking the participants and spectators, although everyone remained enthusiastic.
First members of our senior court, Jake and Megan. Next up we have Maddie Tate and Sean Mercier. Maddie and Sean are our second couple on the senior court today. Thanks to Wally Edgar for our convertibles today. Next up we have Jeff Snyder and Madeline Ray. Jeff and Maddie are members of our senior court today. Following them we have Austin Jones and Carly Jarvis. Again, Austin and Carly are members of our court today. And our final couple, Grant Johnson and Cheyenne Sloan.
Lake Orion's athletic teams also took part in the parade, such as lacrosse, tennis, and volleyball. And despite the pouring rain, the crowds lined the streets cheering on the JV and varsity football players as they brought the parade to a close. Among the activities scheduled to take place during homecoming week is the LOHS Powder Puff football game, where the ladies of the senior class will take on the juniors on Thursday at 7 p.m. Then on Friday, the Dragons will host the West Bloomfield Lakers at the homecoming game, and a new king and queen will be crowned during the halftime ceremony. Of course, ONTV will be at both the Powder Puff game and the homecoming game and will replay the games at a later date. Visit orionontv.org for schedule information or give us a call at 248-393-1060.
The farm-to-table movement is a big trend in the culinary world. Farm-to-table refers to food made with locally sourced ingredients. One local farm is joining the movement and decided to kick off the involvement in a big way. Upland Hills Farm of Oxford held their first annual Farm-to-Table Harvest Dinner on Sunday, September 14th. Tickets for the dinner cost $100 for adults and $25 for children, with proceeds benefiting the Knight and Dorothy Webster Camp Scholarship Fund. The day was filled with family-friendly events, including live music by Josh White Jr. and Ron Coonan, hayride and pony rides, and farm tours, and of course a meal prepared by some of Metro Detroit's top chefs, including Nick Janatole of the Forest Grill in Birmingham, Amber Papour of Cacao Tree Cafe, Aaron Kozad of the Union Joints, and Angelo Loria of the Fox Theater.
We produce pretty much all the food for today's meal, and the 4 chefs that we have are putting it together in an artistic way so that we have a good really nice meal out of it.
That's right. Some of the farm tables are just about the food, but this is about a farm that's about families and recreation. So when we put this event together, we wanted to be sure that we were including children and including things for children to do. And so there's lots of things for the kids to do on the farm, and there was pony rides here today, and we had a wonderful concert by Josh White Jr. and Ron Coonan, who are professional musicians and really did a wonderful job. And then the kids will visit the farm again, but also Mom and Dad are here, and it's a nice afternoon, and it's a new venture for us, and it's about Upland Hills Farm becoming more of a food producer than just a recreational facility.
Upland Hills Farm has been operating since 1960. They offer tons of educational opportunities for local schools and organizations, teaching patrons about creativity, self-understanding, and empathy for other living beings. The farm is currently co-owned by Steve and Leslie Webster and Les and Elizabeth Rogenbuck.
Upland Hills Farm was started by my parents in 1960. And it's been a facility that has had school field trips visiting, day camp, people come out and pick pumpkins in the fall. We do company picnics and weddings here. And last year, we've got our association with Les goes back a little bit farther than that, but Les is a farmer that had East River Organics in the Thumb area, and he's moved his whole operation onto this farm. And eventually will take over all the aspects of the business, the recreational and the food production. He and his wife, and me and my wife. Okay.
To learn more about Upland Hills Farm involvement in the Farm to Table movement, or to see any upcoming events on their schedule, you can visit their website at uplandhillsfarm.com.
Volunteers from all over the community gather together every fall to celebrate a historic barn with family-friendly fun. ONTV's Monica Nowak has more on this story.
What better way to kick off the fall season than with family and friends? Every year, Lake Orion residents gather together for family fun activities at Friendship Park, located in Orion Township, to celebrate Barn Days. Orion Township Jennifer Vesna explains the history of Barn Days and how it benefits the parks.
Barn Days started in 2001 when we moved the Port Barn to Friendship Park. That was the first year we held Barn Days, and it's just grown every year and become the celebration of the history of Orion. Well, first of all, it benefits the community because it brings families out, gives them something inexpensive to do as a nice family event. Any revenue that we bring in above expenses goes back into the system, and it covers some of our events that are for free, like the concerts in the park and things like that.
The event had all kinds of fun for the kids, including one of the popular rides for both adults and kids, the wagon ride. But this ride wasn't just like any other ride riding through the woods.
Today, if you take a hayride through the woods through there, you may find a couple of Yankees and a couple of Confederates. For a little bit, having a little bit of fun out there in the woods. We do all kinds of things. As you see, we love to get the kids involved. You know, dress them up and all that. They just love that stuff and get them going. We have all age groups. We have all little kids all up to old folks like me. We do it. We do this as a hobby. All these things, not all these are mine, but we own these, all this stuff. This is all period correct stuff made by using the same material and the same patterns that they did back then.
Not only was there history being taught, but even Oakland County princesses and queen educate and communicate with the family and kids about the animals.
It's actually kind of cool to teach the kids how to hold the animals, because some kids don't know how to hold them the right way. Usually they drop them instead of setting them down. And so it's like really cool how to teach them what you do with your animals.
it's really fun because, you know, people just think, oh, well, this is a chicken, so it can't be a rooster. Well, no, like a rooster and a chicken are the same thing. They're just, you know, one's a boy and then there's just different kinds, and people don't know about that. So you really just have to teach them so people understand that, you know, animals aren't that hard and anybody can do it. You just have to know what you're doing.
These girls do a lot more than just their duties and responsibilities at the county fair, but they explain how someone can get involved and have their own animals.
It's really great because a lot of kids don't know about our job is to promote the fair and promote the 4-H, and we represent each animal species at fair. And just to come out and show kids, like, these are animals, you have a chance to bring them to the fair and enter them and show them, and just like show the public that these are animals and they're really cool pets to have, and if you work hard enough, anyone can have them.
There are plenty of activities happening here at Barn Days. There's the games, food, and rides, and one of the most important features is the barn, which moved in August of 2000 and is still being celebrated 14 years later. In Orion Township, I'm Monica Nowak, ONTV News.
Thanks, Monica. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll have a special report from Joe Johnson on the 2014 Patriots Day celebration. You're watching ONTV News. Stay tuned.
Enjoy farm fresh produce, baked goods, art, and more at the 2014 Lake Orion Farmers Market sponsored by Crittenden Hospital. Walk, bike, or drive to the Orion Arts Center located at 115 South Anderson Street. Parents can purchase products grown and made locally while kids take part in fun activities like horseshoes and arts and crafts. Come early and come often as vendors change from week to week as new crops come into season. The Lake Orion Farmers Market is held every Wednesday from 2 to 7 p.m. through October 22nd. For more information or to sign up as a vendor, visit downtownlakeorion.org.
Welcome back to ONTV News. I'm Sheryl Coonan.
And I'm Megan Peters. With the arrival of fall, most residents have traditionally traveled out of town to enjoy some apple cider and donuts while taking in the fall colors. Now, Orion residents don't have to travel very far at all to experience the joys that fall season has to offer. ONTV's Brittany Werner tells us about a new business that recently celebrated its grand opening on the grounds of Canterbury Village.
The grand opening is finally here for Yates Cider Mill in Canterbury Village, and it's been a great addition and a perfect fit for the community already. It gives families another great reason to visit Canterbury Village. For decades, Yates Cider Mill has been a traditional family business catering to the community throughout Oakland County. So it was no surprise that the local attraction decided to continue its legacy in Lake Orion, Michigan. Josh Miller talks about the history of Yates and why they're so excited to be the new addition to Canterbury Village.
Yeah, we're excited. We had our soft opening last weekend, but the Kids Fest is this weekend, and so we thought it would be perfect to pair up with that and be part of the community, be a part of everything that's going on in the festivities. We love Lake Orion. It's a huge community place, a lot of family, and that's exactly what we're about too. We're actually on the third generation of family who has owned Yates. The Posey family bought it from Yates back in, I think, '73. And so we're huge on family. We've got a lot of family that works here, a lot of different family members work together. So we love this community atmosphere. We're excited.
For the grand opening, the experience was amazing. With so many delightful and authentic treats to choose from, the locals had a hard time choosing what not to buy.
So what we offer, obviously the cider and donuts, but much more than that. We have the typical things that you would find at the mill, the cider, donuts, caramel apples, our fresh baked goods. Everything's freshly made here, from the donuts to the baked goods to our fudge. We have fresh cider that's squeezed at our main facility and then brought over. Outside of that, we also offer coffee, baked goods. On Fridays, we have apple fritters. So Fritter Fridays, yeah, that's the big.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love apple fritters.
Yeah, you can't say enough about them. So Fridays is that. Yep. So we offer a wide variety of things.
Now, as Josh said, Yates is all about family, loving the atmosphere, and community. And being that this specific community here in Canterbury Village is so beautiful, Yates gives families another reason to call it their own.
Lake Orion's a sweet situation because you got the lakes, you got the, during the summer, all of the parties and everything going on in the lakes. And then with the community and the family and having places to go and things to do, and us being able to be here and provide something else for the family to come and kind of call their own is something that we really cherish and treasure.
Wow, that's delicious. It's nothing like some fresh cider on a beautiful fall day. Now, although it's fall and it will be a busy season for Yates, keep in mind, Yates will be open all year round here in Canterbury Village. For more information, visit yatescidermill.com. From Canterbury Village, I'm Brittany Werner for ONTV News.
Thanks, Brittany. Earlier in the week, another new business celebrated its grand opening in Orion Township. On September 17th, the Orion Area Chamber of Commerce welcomed B-Zany to the community with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. With the Halloween season almost upon us, B-Zany is hoping to supply you with all of your party needs.
One more. There we go. What made you decide to pick this location to open up this particular store?
Great question. Honestly, the folks around here are fantastic people. We've gotten a great, acceptance coming here, and just there's so much traffic here because of the Great Lakes Crossing and that. It just made a lot of sense.
Oxford resident Bruce Zack started his own online business a few years ago selling wild and crazy hats. In July, he moved into the former Ace Hardware building on Baldwin Road near Gregory, expanded his inventory, and opened his first brick-and-mortar store and warehouse.
Well, I think you're going to find very helpful people that are there to help them find for their special event or their special occasion. I think they'll take care of them, find great customer service, and I think we have a great selection. We have literally thousands of products that are there, so I think it'll work out well.
Zach told us he's hoping this location will be the first of many to spring up across the country. In addition to hundreds of colorful hats, B-Zany offers party supplies and costumes, and the grand opening couldn't have come at a better time with Halloween right around the corner.
The chamber out here has just been fantastic. They're so progressive and been so helpful, and just setting this all up and making it happen has just been great. It's really been nice.
B-Zany is located at 3970 South Baldwin, just north of Gregory. For more information, visit their website at b-zany.com.
The Lake Orion Downtown Development Authority does what it can to lure businesses and foot traffic into the village. The DDA is currently working on a plan to help pedestrians find their way around town. In an effort to direct pedestrians to key locations throughout Lake Orion's downtown area, the DDA board is planning to launch a wayfinding project, installing signs on M24 and throughout the village to point out various locations. Permanent signs won't hang until next summer, so in the meantime, DDA Executive Director Suzanne Perot has created temporary signs to hang in the village, which is part of a national program called Walk Your City.
Placemaking is creating a special, fun, funky, inviting space where people want to hang out. And downtown Lake Orion is a perfect backdrop to that. We have the authenticity of the historic buildings. We have shopping, dining, drinking, playing. People just want to have fun in general, and that's what placemaking is all about. So this project that we are establishing is really just trying to add to that place of downtown. What we are doing are installing a series of signage that call out different points of interest in downtown.
For Phase 1 of the project, 10 signs have been created pointing the way to locations such as the Orion Art Center, Children's Park, and the Paint Creek Trail. With input from the community, Phase 2 will include signs that lead pedestrians to popular businesses in the village.
The next thing we want to do, again, is engage the community. What are other points of interest that we need to call out? Right now, with the signs that we're currently installing, we're pointing out parks, the Art Center, the Paint Creek Trail, and the downtown area. What would the Phase 2 could be things like, it's a 3-minute walk to the best craft brew in town, and that might be a sign that is directing people north on Broadway to 51 North Brewery here. Maybe somebody would want to call out, the best raisin toast, French toast in the 48362 zip code. Obviously, I'm referring to CJ's there. So we'd love to think of some creative ways to call out businesses without specifically saying the business name on the sign.
The DDA is requesting your input to improve the program. You can post comments on the Lake Orion DDA Facebook page, visit their website downtownlakeorion.org, or give them a call at 248-693-9742 with your suggestions.
September 11th marked the 13th anniversary of the terrorist attacks that changed the world. Lake Orion residents and dignitaries gathered together during a ceremony not only to remember but to express gratitude to first responders. ONTV's Joe Johnson was at the event and brings us the story.
On Thursday, September 11th, Lake Orion residents, first responders, and dignitaries gathered at the Orion Veterans Memorial on M24 for a ceremony that encouraged attendees to never forget the events that took place 13 years earlier. Police and firefighters were joined by citizens and dignitaries during a ceremony that featured prayer and song. A piece of the World Trade Center found at Ground Zero was on display as a tangible reminder. Orion Township Supervisor Chris Barnett was master of ceremonies.
I've been to many ceremonies here, and this one was just so heartfelt. I mean, the sing-along was I've never witnessed that here before. There's just so much pride, not only in our veterans, but our first responders in our community. Such a strong one. So, you know, every time I feel like, you know, the weather's cold, the turnout's gonna be low. I mean, it's just, people just come out. It's an amazing thing about our community.
Speakers included Judge Michael Warren of the Oakland County Circuit Court and Orion Township Fire Chief Bob Smith. They were joined by Lake Orion Police Chief Jerry Narsh.
I believe that people still believe in America, and they still, I think they still want to remember what happened, not to dwell on it, but to pay tribute to the people that lost their lives, not only the first responders, but 2,900 civilians. And I think they want people to see how, that we're still a united nation.
Yeah, we're humbled that they're here with us, sharing this moment with us, and like Chief Smith said, they're all Americans. We're all Americans, and we remember. We come here to remember, but we join together. So we're honored that Lake Orion cares that much to come out on a cold night like this and remember those who lost their lives and who rush into trouble and not from it. And that's what first responders do. So we're here to recognize them and regular Americans who step up and face those challenges anytime they face America.
Former Lake Orion teacher Kathy McMinn brought the crowd to their feet with a patriotic medley that included songs like God Bless America.
America, my home, sweet home.
As a special surprise, VFW Post Commander Jim Hubbard veered off the scheduled program for a moment to recognize the Orion Township Fire Department's John Pender for his dedication to his job.
Well, this is quite a surprise again. Thank you very much. I love what I do. I come to work every day and try and make the fire department better. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Barnett. Thank you.
We have to keep them in the front. You know, they gave a lot, and they do every day when they go out on a run or what they're asked to do. It's just what they do, and I only feel that VFW does them proud by supporting them.
In Lake Orion, I'm Joe Johnson reporting for ONTV News.
Thanks, Joe. We are going to take another break. When we return, we'll take a look at your local sports. You are watching ONTV News. Stay tuned.
Hello, Lake Orion and Oakland County. This is Sammy Termina here, talking a new show here called OA Now. We're going to talk about sports from football to basketball to volleyball to track and field to soccer, cross country, etc. here on OA Now on ONTV.
Welcome back to ONTV News. I'm Sheryl Coonan.
And I'm Megan Peters. Here's your weekly sports roundup. The boys varsity soccer team has been on a tear this season, riding an offense that has poured in the goals game after game. It was no different when Rochester rolled into town on Saturday, September 13th. With cold and windy conditions, both teams worked to control their possessions. Rochester would use the long ball to set up the first score of the match. Johnny Stathakios would bury the touch pass just 7 minutes into the match. Rochester up 1-0. The Dragon faithful's heart stopped for a moment when starting goalkeeper James Beaumont went down after a collision in the box. Play was halted while Beaumont was looked over by the LOHS training staff. He would eventually have to leave the game. Backup goalkeeper Michael Shiramonti would man the goal for the rest of the match. The Dragons would pressure Rochester all afternoon. Richard Dahl would eventually draw a free kick after a dangerous slide tackle, resulting in a yellow card. Rochester applied pressure to the backup netminder and tallied their second goal with 3 minutes left in the half. Dragons down 2-0. The Dragons would shut the door after that and change momentum with a goal from Richard Dahl, the first goal of the game with 40 seconds until half. In the second, it was all Dragons. Dahl struck again, netting one from long range, tying it up at 2 apiece. A penalty kick would give the Dragons the lead for good at 25-50. The Dragons would put the game away on a fantastic free kick and chip over the Rochester defense to close out the scoring with 20:04 left in the match. The Dragons would take the win 4-2 and improve to 8-1-1 on the season. The Dragons had mixed results during the next 2 games. On Tuesday, September 16th, the Dragons fell 3-1 to Birmingham Seaholm. They bounced back on Thursday, September 18th with a solid win over Birmingham Groves 3-1, with goals by Dahl and McElbride, with Sheldon Drake finishing the scoring for LOHS. Varsity soccer matches are currently running on ONTV Public Access Channel 10 and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. Be sure to check out the ONTV program guide at orionontv.org to find the game times that best fit your viewing schedule.
The Lake Orion Dragons varsity volleyball team had their first home game on Wednesday, September 19th against their rival, the Oxford Wildcats. The Dragons entered the match with an impressive 21-3-2 record, while the Wildcats sat at 5-13-4. Lake Orion started Game 1 a little slow, allowing Oxford to hang close. They would eventually put Oxford away, winning Game 1 25-21. It wasn't until the second game that the Dragons really turned up the heat. Lake Orion took Game 2 by 10 points, beating Oxford 25-15. In Game 3, the Dragons looked just as strong, handily defeating the Wildcats 25-17. With the sweep, the Dragons improved to 22-3-2 and opened up league play at 1-0. The Dragons were led offensively by Natalie Wenner, who had 13 kills, and senior Hannah Murdoch's 12 kills. Junior libero Corey Varney contributed 12 digs and 4 aces for the Dragons. The Dragons will play Birmingham Seaholm on Tuesday, September 23rd, continuing their quest for an OAA Red title. The Lake Orion Dragons varsity football team started their 2014 season with 2 road games, losing the season opener to Chippewa Valley in a nail-biter, 38-35, then rebounding against Troy Athens with a 35-22 win the following week. The Dragons finally came home on September 12th to host the winless Troy Colts, and then traveled to Oxford on September 19th to battle for the coveted Double O trophy. ONTV's Joe Johnson brings us the exciting highlights.
During Lake Orion's home opener on September 12th, the visiting Troy Colts stunned the Lake Orion crowd by striking first. 7 minutes into the first quarter, Troy quarterback Nick Bradley fakes the handoff and runs 15 yards before he's tackled on the Dragons' 3-yard line. On third down, Bradley lofts one to Eric Papandrea, who makes an easy catch in the end zone. Troy 7, Lake Orion 0. In the second quarter, Bradley's pass is tipped, and Lake Orion's Jalen Wiggins makes the interception, giving the Dragons possession on Troy's 27-yard line. On the very next play, Cameron Costas finds Zach Surzo, who goes 27 yards to tie the game at 7 apiece. With Troy kicking off to Lake Orion to start the second half, Surzo fields the kickoff at his own 15. He shakes, he bakes, he follows his blockers and returns the ball all the way to Troy's 24-yard line.
And brought down at the 27-yard line.
And on the very next play, Costas hands off to Keith Fields, who finds an opening and goes the distance, giving Lake Orion a 14-7 lead. Later in the third, the Dragons have the ball on the Colts' 28-yard line. Costas tosses the ball to Matt Krause in the backfield, who has trouble finding the handle. He picks it up, dodges tacklers, and somehow turns the corner. He streaks along the sideline where he's finally tackled on the 8-yard line. Following a Colts personal foul, the ball is placed on the 4-yard line, and on second down, Kraus takes the handoff and plunges into the end zone to give Lake Orion a 2-touchdown lead. Before the third quarter could expire, Lake Orion once again has the ball in the red zone. Costas finds Kraus, who gets knocked out of bounds at the 4-yard line. A few plays later, Logan Shadiah scores from the 1-yard line for Lake Orion's third touchdown of the third quarter. Lake Orion's final touchdown of the game came in the fourth, when Kraus barely broke the plane of the end zone. The refs signaled touchdown to make the score 35-7, which ended up being the final score.
Very happy with the way we played in the second half. And, in the first half, it wasn't that we played bad. They just played good. They played good, and they brought it, and they were stacking the box, and we're going to see that. But I think another thing that really helped is Cam made some nice throws when he had the opportunity, and Cam can do that. So if they're going to bring 9 up, all right, we've got guys to get behind him as well.
You talked about Cam, and Matt Kraus, of course, is getting all the accolades, well-deserved. But you've got 2 other guys running the ball, Fields and Surzo. They're no slouch either.
No, and I think that's, if they're going to just key on Matt, those other 2 guys are going to have field days. And I think that's what happened tonight. Both those guys played very well. Both those guys played big. Matt was Matt. He had some great runs. But I think the other guys really, were the game changers. And like I said, and part of it is because Matt's going to get so many guys stacked up against him. So it just makes us better all around.
1 week later, the Dragons traveled a short distance into Oxford to battle their crosstown rivals for the coveted 00 trophy. Most of the first half was a defensive battle on the blue turf, with the first score of the game coming late in the second quarter. With 3:28 left in the half, Oxford quarterback Glacier Wallington is looking at a 3rd and 4 on Lake Orion's 26-yard line. He fakes the handoff and turns the corner, sprinting down the sideline into the end zone to give the Wildcats a 7-0 lead. The Dragons got the ball back and began to show some life offensively. With 1:39 left in the first half, quarterback Cameron Costas hits Zach Surzo for a 32-yard gain. Then, on 3rd and goal on the 2-yard line, Logan Shadiah plunges into the end zone to tie the game at 7 apiece. To start the second half, the Dragons had no problem moving the ball, but it's in the red zone where they would struggle all evening. On 4th down, the Dragons go for it, but Matt Kraus, wearing number 98, is stuffed at the goal line to turn the ball over on downs. On the ensuing drive, the Wildcats marched all the way down the field, and with the ball on Lake Orion's 7-yard line, Wallington once again fakes the handoff and hurdles into the end zone. Oxford regains the lead, 14-7. In the fourth quarter, Lake Orion once again is facing a 4th and goal situation. And again, Oxford's defense smothers the ball to force another turnover on downs. With 5.5 left in the game, Lake Orion is in the red zone once again. This time, Costas finds the 6'6" Nicholas Fox in the end zone for the touchdown. The score's tied, 14-14. With 4:24 left in the game, Oxford has the ball on its own 35-yard line. Wallington hands off to Scott Stubenrock, who goes 65 yards into the end zone to give his team a 7-point lead late in the game. But the game wasn't over yet. Lake Orion had one more chance to try to tie it. On 3rd and 11, Costas hits Kraus, who breaks tackles and finally gets tackled on Oxford's 38 to keep the drive alive. Then, with the game clock winding down, the Dragons are once again in the red zone, facing a 4th down situation. The pass from Costas falls incomplete in the end zone, and the game is over. The Wildcats celebrate the victory by hoisting the 00 trophy high into the air. With the win, Oxford improves to a 4-0 record on the season.
I knew it was going to be a knockdown drag out, because when Lake Orion and Oxford play, throw away the score, throw away the records, and who's good and who's not good. And because they're 3 miles down the road, they don't care for us a lot. We don't care for them because it's competition. It's just good, solid competition.
What can you say about your defense?
Yeah, that they came to play. They played great defense in the red zone tonight. They did a great job. They made plays when they had to, and they just did a great job. Incredible. I mean, they just all flew around and did a great job for us.
So late in the game, I think about 4.5 left maybe, Lake Orion ties it up. Oxford gets the ball. Ball goes in your hands. Tell me what happened.
Lyman they blocked great, and then the hole was there. Lyman blocked great the whole entire game. I just read it and bounced outside, and then my receiver made that huge block down the field, and I just read his block as well, and then that's it.
I really didn't know what to expect. I knew both defenses were going to play hard, and we had talked about it could possibly be a low-scoring game. But then the way both offenses were playing, I expected us to put more points on the board. But we just, we made some plays. We did well, between the end zones. We just did not do a good job of getting it in the end zone.
What was going on in the red zone there? I mean, 3 different occasions, you guys could have had a multiple touchdown lead.
It is, and that's the ball game. That's the ball game right there. Our inability to cash in, we got down there. And the fact they made some plays down there, and I don't know. I have to look at the film. We liked what we were getting. Usually we have great success with that. And I was probably pretty stubborn staying with it. But like I said, it's been good to us, and we liked what we were getting. We thought we had good matchups, but we just failed to get it in.
In Oxford, this is Joe Johnson reporting for ONTV News.
Thanks, Joe. The Oxford game was recorded in its entirety and will be replayed on Comcast Channel 10 and ATT Channel 99. Visit OrionONTV.org for schedule information. The entire game will also be available to view on ONTV's YouTube channel.
On Sunday, September 21st, several thousand running enthusiasts came together in our state's capital for the annual Capital City River Run. The event drew runners from all over the state and the Midwest looking to compete in either a half or full marathon. Many racers had fun dressing up in costumes, while others took a more low-key approach. A couple four-legged joggers also took to the course with their owners to delight the spectators cheering on the participants. The race wove its way through the streets of Lansing and the MSU campus, following the Red Cedar and Grand Rivers to conclude at Riverside Park just downtown from the Capitol building. Professional timing systems kept track of the runners. Throughout the course, volunteers from all over the Lansing area worked to make this year's event run smoothly. The half-marathon winner, John Greaves of Hazlet, finished his 13.1-mile trek in 1 hour, 10 minutes, 5 seconds, setting a blistering 5:21 per mile pace. While the first female finisher, Michelle Grevenstack from Otsego, crossed the finish line at 1 hour, 23 minutes, 19 seconds for a 6:22 per mile pace. Medals, meals, and a festive atmosphere met all racers as they finished their race. Hundreds of friends, family members, and spectators cheered on all of the competitors. Runners also took photos at the official photo tent. We move on from road races to off the beaten path with our coverage of middle school and high school cross-country news. The LOCS middle school cross-country teams have been busy since the end of July training for the 2014 season. Oakview, Walden, and Scripps Middle Schools have solid teams that performed well at the White Lake Invitational back on September 11th. This middle school-only event was for some runners their first experience racing on an off-road course. 6th graders from the participating schools ran a 1-mile course under comfortable conditions, while the 7th and 8th graders ran in varsity and junior varsity races. Medals were awarded to the top 20 finishers. Trophies were awarded to the top 3 overall teams. On Saturday, September 20th, runners from middle and high school teams from as far away as Bath competed in the Romeo Old School Classic. This race is a favorite to many school-age runners due to the extreme nature of the course. Runners travel across gravel roads, muddy, woody paths, and across a small river no less than 3 times, making for a muddy, wet, and very sloppy run. This event also breaks down races for each grade level, offering medals to the top 10 finishers at each grade. Overall team trophies are also awarded. That's it for this edition of ONTV News. On behalf of the entire crew, I'm Sheryl Coonan.
And I'm Megan Peters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on ONTV.